This story is from our sender, Aleb Fletcher. This nightmare took place around 9 months ago, on August 24th, a Saturday. School had been in session for a couple of weeks, so to blow off some steam, I decided to see if my friends, who I'll call Ethan and Brody, wanted to play some Fortnite. My mom and sister were out shopping, my dad was at work, and I was bored. Around 8 p.m. we finally started playing, though I delayed a bit because I had burned some pizza rolls earlier. After a few rounds of losing, my friends got tired and logged off after only an hour. I planned on just lying down with my phone and going to bed until I heard my 2 dogs barking outside. It's not unusual for them to bark at people walking by, but I decided to check anyway. I didn't see anyone, but seconds after looking out the window, I heard the garage door open and shut. That usually means my dad is home, but I didn't see his van outside, and he had texted earlier saying he'd be working late. I walked downstairs to the dining room to get a better view. From there, I saw that our driveway was empty, and there wasn't a person or vehicle in sight. Not being one to investigate, I ran back up to my bedroom and texted my family group chat to see if anyone was home. I told my mom about the garage door, and she instructed me to turn off the lights, lock my bedroom door, and stay put until she got home. I did just that. About 15 minutes later, I thought I heard the wooden floor downstairs creaking, like someone was trying to be sneaky. Without any weapon, I unclipped my microphone's boom arm from my desk and quietly opened my bedroom door. I walked out onto our upstairs balcony and looked over, trying to spot anything unusual. Stupidly, I yelled, "Is anybody there?" as if the intruder would actually answer. I thought everything was fine, until I saw a large silhouette standing beneath the balcony. I panicked and ran to the closest room with a door, which was my small bathroom. The intruder must have known I noticed them, because I heard loud, fast footsteps running up the stairs as I locked myself in the bathroom. I had stupidly left my phone in my bedroom, which was right next to me. After building up enough courage, I bolted into my bedroom, locking the door behind me. My sister's room was right across from mine, its door open, so I figured the intruder must have been in there. After locking my door, I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. Just before calling, I noticed the storage room in my wall was slightly open. I saw a dark brown eye peeking through the crevice, staring into my soul. The pure terror I felt in that moment is something I'll never forget. I booked it downstairs and out the front door, running up the hill to my neighbor's house. He was a police officer. He alerted the other cops while I stayed with his wife, and he went down to investigate. I told him exactly where the intruder was hiding in my bedroom. Minutes later, I ran back down the hill to see if the intruder had been caught. When I walked in, I saw a tall, skinny man with a gray beard and a dirty black coat being pushed onto the floor by my neighbor as he was getting handcuffed. I'm not allowed to be home alone anymore, and we have better security around our house now. My family was just happy to know I wasn't hurt, and were thankful for my neighbor's bravery. I don't wish an experience like this on anyone, not even my worst enemy. Story 2 by Sanders. This happened a few months ago while driving for DoorDash. I only drive as a side gig, maybe 10 to 15 hours a week. That night I was only doing a couple of orders since it was already late, and I picked up a small order around 1 a.m. It was to be delivered to an office building across town, which was clear from the address. This was normal for overnight workers. When I pulled into the parking lot, though, it was empty, no cars at all. And it didn't look like there was a parking lot behind the building either. I parked near the front and got out with the food. The place was definitely an office building, smaller than most, being only 2 stories and not very wide. All the lights were off in the windows except for one behind the front door. I checked the app, which had specific drop-off instructions to enter the main hallway and leave the bag outside of room 232. I looked through the door, seeing the hallway with a bunch of closed doors on either side. Delivering to specific rooms was new for me. as I'd only done it at hotels. I tested the door. Pushing it open, it was unlocked, so I stepped inside. I expected to hear people working, moving around, or talking, but instead, there was only silence, just the white noise of the overhead lights buzzing above me. As I passed the first few doors, they were all numbered in the 100s, like 102 and 106. Room 232 was supposed to be on the second floor. In the middle of the hallway was the doorway leading to the staircase. It was held open with a wedge door stopper, but the lights weren't on. I stepped into the bottom of the staircase and looked up. The entire stairwell was pitch black, not a single light coming from above. The eerie silence sent chills through me, always wanting good reviews. I usually followed the instructions precisely, but this time I decided it was too sketchy. As I stepped out of the stairwell and back into the hallway, the door right across from me opened. The lights in that room were off, but a man emerged and stepped into the hallway. He was wearing street clothes and didn't look like an office worker at all. He stood in front of me, pointing past me at the stairwell. 232 is up there, he said. I nodded but didn't move, and neither did he. He just looked me in the eyes with a suppressed anger. After an intense few seconds, I dropped the bag on the ground and quickly walked to the exit. The man didn't follow me, but I heard his footsteps go into the stairwell and up the stairs as I left the building. I got in my car and left, unsure if I was overreacting, but feeling too uneasy to stay. The following day, the police called me. Apparently, the office reported a break-in, and the CCTV footage showed my car and license plate, tracking it back to me. They also had footage of the break-in and questioned me about any information I might have. I didn't have much to give, but it turned out there were 3 people who broke in. One was downstairs, who I saw, but the other 2 were shown on camera hiding at the top of the stairs, seemingly waiting for me to go up. Disturbingly, several other delivery orders were made to that same office that night, but the other drivers were smarter than I was and left the orders outside by the front door. What would have taken place in that office had any of us gone up to the second floor is unknown, but hopefully the police can find the 3 men before anyone falls victim to them. Before we continue the story, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel. Story 3 by Anonymous. I work at a mid-sized grocery store doing 10-hour shifts, mostly overnight. Our store was having staffing issues that made every department understaffed and overworked, and overnight stocking was no exception. I had one guy helping me 5 nights a week, but that night I was alone. I got in at 10 p.m. and was by myself by 10:15. After running some numbers in the office, I started pulling out loads of boxes to the aisles to start unpacking and stocking. Even though I had no help that night, I still had to get everything done, so I worked hard and quickly, not even stopping for a break. Suddenly, a tapping sound echoed through the store. I stopped and listened, hearing it again. It sounded like someone tapping on a window at the front of the store. I looked at my watch for the first time since I started working, and it was 2 a.m. Time had flown by, but there was no reason anyone should be there. I walked down the aisle to the front and quickly saw someone outside, leaning against the window and trying to look inside. He spotted me and stared as I approached. I asked what he wanted. The man, looking homeless, told me to open the door. He had a straight face, no smile or anything. I said we were closed and he couldn't be here, and turned to walk away. The man immediately banged on the window, not tapping like before, but harsh banging. I looked back, and he was clearly enraged, his fist against the glass. Thinking he was crazy, I told him I'd call the cops if he didn't leave, then started pulling my phone out to show I was serious. Only then did he step away from the window, still with that angry look as he walked into the parking lot. Seeing him leave, I put my phone away and got back to work. We get a lot of crazy customers, so I didn't think too much about it, focusing instead on getting my work done. About 15 minutes later, A sudden sound echoed through the store. It sounded like metal snapping or scraping. I quickly dropped what I was doing and ran to the front. Nobody was at the windows, so I went to the entrance door. It was one of those revolving glass doors with a bolt lock on top to keep it from opening. Closed the store at night. Right away, I saw the bolt was missing, not just unlocked, but gone entirely. I pressed my hand on the door and it glided around, allowing anyone to get in. My face turned white as I realized what this meant. I knew I needed to call the police immediately. I turned around to head to the front office, but was instantly face to face with the guy from before. He was only a few feet away, still with that enraged stare. I didn't hesitate to run out the revolving door, hearing him close behind me. An old van sped up to the front, nearly hitting me, but I kept running until I reached my car. When I rushed inside, I noticed the guy wasn't chasing me anymore, and the van was speeding out of the parking lot. I called the cops and spent the next couple of hours explaining what happened. It wasn't until the next day that we got security footage of the man breaking in, but the image quality wasn't great. We can almost be sure they were trying to get me into their van, but we have no way of knowing why. If I hadn't been as quick, I probably wouldn't have ever been seen again.